Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, the boys are here.
They're nervous. We're calm.
Boysies.
Get rarer.
Why is this happening to me?
We're not getting Maccas and you can blame my son.
Get a few today, did you?
It's great to contractually be obliged to be here. Thank you.
Is anyone going to listen to this or what?
No, I actually don't know what happens in third grade.
You either get nude, get in the shower, or we're throwing all your cricket gear in.
Right.
I was like, no chance I'm going to bowl you.
19th century Pax Britannica.
Oh, the first day of summer, the first week of summer. Is that right? Or did we do it last week? I can't remember. I don't know what anything means anymore. But Sam Perry, it's a big show today. We're talking England, New Zealand. We're talking Sri Lanka, Australia. That starts tonight. We're talking South Africa, India. We're talking to Todd Murphy, Australia's newest inclusion into a squad. 22-year-old's played a couple of first-class games. He's come through for us last minute. We apologise at the very top here for this being a day later than what we otherwise would have usually done. We've had a couple of interviews pull out very last minute, but Todd Murphy of Australia fame has come through for us. This episode is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler. We're talking a little bit later about the most ordinary rig. More information on that later. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry is in Darwin. He has gone troppo. But you know what? I bet, Pez, that you're excited for some real cricket. And to be fair, I have really enjoyed, to be fair to me, I have really enjoyed that test match. So that's a universal feeling for everyone. What do you got to say about that, mate?
I thought you were referring to the Australia-Sri Lanka T20 series kicking off tonight, 11:30 p.m. AEST. Absolutely
I'm up for that.
Stinging and frothing for that series that I'll definitely remember.
What can Aaron Finch do for us?
Sure. Good to have Test match cricket back. Good to have Test match cricket back. I hope those that attended with their £160 tickets enjoyed a game. I have to say from the top, he goes, I must say this as an Australian. I can't work out whether we were watching the resurgence of an England side against the World Test Champions or a bit of a 2v3s possibles probables pre-season first game. And I only have to say that because I'm petty and insecure. No, it was good. It was good to see Test cricket back, some good storylines, all that sort of shit. Joe Root, we'll get into it. Just cricket in white clothes. I'm still for it. Sorry to say, I'm all about it. So it's good.
I accept your apology. Mate, I think originally they were going to play this game on the nursery ground behind Lords, but I think the MCC, they had a rescheduled game, so they got to use the main ground. So that was lucky. Now, Pez, we must start, of course, with the NBA Finals. Now, you know, over the years, we've talked about the lexicon involved with alphadom and this sort of thing, and it extends across all sports. In fact, we saw Joe Root obviously passed 10,000 runs, and Yunus Khan champed him in his message. We've seen that, of course. But this also has crossed across the pond over there on the West Coast in San Francisco, where Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors was asked about. He was actually praising Steph Curry, and he was saying that even when Kevin Durant, who's now at the Brooklyn Nets, of course, even when KD was at San Fran, was at Golden State, the offense always ran through Steph Curry. That's how good a player Steph Curry is. Now, Kevin Durant didn't like that too much. He didn't take kindly to that, and then Draymond Green came out on Twitter, again, separate thing, and he said. Hey, it's all love, champ. It's all love. And then Kevin Durant has then called him, I saw everything you said, my brethren. And my brethren is a new one to me. I've not come across that one before, but that's rich in tapestry. That's some culturally layered, nice outfit and power play there.
Absolutely. And we've got a lot of texts or a lot of DMs to that effect, people wanting judgment on it, wanting us to weigh in with Draymond Green versus Kevin Durant.
That's right.
A couple of clubbies from sort of 01 to 06 inclusive. The point was made that Durant was the finals MVP in both of those rings that they got. Right. And I think Durant was kind of trying to, call that out on Twitter, as you do. But I want to talk about the lexicon, a linguistic analysis of my brethren, because we haven't heard much of that before. Obviously, we know brother, we know, and brethren is a little bit of a spin on brother from medieval times, etc. So look,
feels has a religious connotation to me.
But we could all feel, couldn't we? We could all feel instinctively, intuitively that Durant was doing something by calling him my brethren. And I want to see if I could break it down a little bit. He's doing something. Yeah. So I believe my brethren is from the same school as Champion, right? So the central conceit of Champion
100%.
of the champing phenomenon is that you reappropriate the ultimate accolade, champion, often heard in boxing, etc., by using it to address someone who is clearly not that. You know, that's the conceit in it. You're addressing me as champion. I play third grade. I'm in third class at school. I'm clearly not a champion. You're calling me champion. You're condescending.
Yes. You are referring to someone who is a champion of industry. Yet they are not. They're barely in the industry,
nor are they championing something. You know, women's rights, equality, etc.
Women's rights.
My brethren.
Women's rights there.
I'm not championing anything. My brethren is potentially biblical, like etymologically, or at least medieval, like of a monarchical time. Brethren, you know, it's kind of like saying my liege. Except, of course, Draymond Green is not Kevin Durant's liege, is he? Like that, we know that because KD probably sits a bit above Draymond Green. Fair play, a fine player, Draymond Green is. Yeah. As fine a player he is, KD's sitting a level above him, right? Yeah. So to call him,
that's also different to Jack Leach, isn't it?
Jack Leach, that's right.
Jack Leach, that's different.
and so as I concede, he's not his brother either. So he's doing the same thing. He's reappropriating that term to highlight the fact that he's not that thing. He's neither his liege, he's not his brother. This is all just happening on Twitter, and he's just written that in 1 second. Yeah. And as you said, this is not to be confused with Eunice Khan congratulating Joe Root on 10,000 runs by saying, "Welcome to the club, champ."
Yeah. I think it's been 20 years since The Wire, the famous HBO series The Wire about the drug trade in Baltimore, started first premiered in television. Is that right? 20 years ago? I think that's right. And it felt like they had that sort of back and forth with it, calling someone my brethren, just layered in context and condescension.
It's like mate. You know, you're not my mate. Don't call me mate. Yeah.
Don't call me mate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Very confusing.
My name's Mate.
All right. Different to Juan Mata, who spent 8.5 years at United for some reason. All right. England versus New Zealand Test Series is a match that's happening at the moment. So New Zealand won the toss. They had a stick. I'm just giving you the scores on the doors right at the top here. New Zealand got 132. England got themselves 9 runs in front in their first innings, 141 all out. Then New Zealand got 285. That meant that England needed 200 and the rest to win, and they got that 5 down. That's basically what happened in the match. If you've come to the Great Cricketer 3 days after the game is finished, what happened to that game? I'm not going to go online to find. I'll just wait for the boys to talk about Draymond Green first, and then they'll tell me. But Pez, I suppose the first question I want to ask overall about this match. What were your feelings on it? I suppose we spoke at the top there a little bit. It's nice to be back, and it's hard to tell what these two teams are. But do you have any other initial thoughts about this game?
I'm working out which way to approach it. Do we respect England's win because we respect New Zealand inherently, or do we conveniently cast New Zealand as threes to deny happiness to England? You know, I'm not sure which approach to take, which is more entertaining, which is what I actually think. I just feel like we're watching. I feel like McCullum sorted a few things out in the side that were quite glaring to sort out at home. He just got the best 4 guys on the park. He put them in their best positions. It allows everybody else to do well, and they are riding on a wave of renewal and freshness. And it's funny when that happens. You start taking your catches, you start hitting the stumps. But let's not forget, it was it was 130 versus 140. New Zealand then got well ahead. And that's when, my abiding thought really is that, I don't say it begrudgingly at all, Stuart Broad changed the game. There's no greater vibes or vibrations-based player in modern cricket across all levels. I include club cricket. Yeah, maybe ever.
Club cricket, yeah.
Different vibrations there. But he changed the game in only the way he does. So the things I want to talk about are firstly, respect to Stuart Broad for changing the game. We'll talk about Joe Root because he's the best batsman in world cricket at the moment. Happy to back that up. And I'd like to talk about team hat-tricks as well and the nonsense therein. Yeah.
And the absolute hard drive levels of all of that. Yeah.
So where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Well, I will agree with you this one time only, because we often disagree. that like McCullum he's brought in something. He's only been there for about 15 minutes. He wasn't involved in the selections, I understand, of this game. So he's basically just sit the guy on the balcony, get him in some cast or new kit, and get blokes just on a rotating cycle, just having a chat with him. He's vibes as well, and that's what modern coaching is. It feels like in cricket anyway. Talk to the players. They don't need someone to tell them how to fucking hold the bat. Just get me a vibes guy. And then all of a sudden, Bairstow takes 3 catches on the first day, the direct hit run-outs, even Jack Leach running after the ball and then concussing himself. Like that's what they want, because it's all.
I know that's what I thought when I saw Leach do that. I was like, oh, this is exactly what England needs. Yeah,
get the ball concussed.
Yeah, they need and they need a leggy, fucking herring down the M1 with a Duck Hoyson rap, just going. Yeah, I'm going to make my debut now. That was what England needed.
And then there's something nice about Jack Crawley runs to the top. He doesn't hit singles. He hits boundaries. He reminds me of like He reminds me of what like Saywag and Warner did at the beginning of their careers, where they just hit boundaries deluxe. Except it's in England, and he's just going to get out. Like you just know it's going to happen. But when he's there, it's good to watch.
Oh, it's good to watch. You got to keep him there. Anyway, he's not going anywhere.
So then there's some nice aspects to it as well. Then Anderson, there's obviously nice stats about when he played. The last dinosaurs were still alive. Stuart Broad running in, momentum, feels, vibes. You get a bit of new blood with Matt Potts. Obviously Durham stuff. Ben Folkes behind the sticks. Now I'm not sure about the black gloves. We've spoken about this in the past, but he's taken good catches as well. So there's lots of nice elements to it. And then they had New Zealand 45 for 7, didn't they, in the first innings? Now, this is on the back of, I think, in the trial game, was it Essex they were playing the trial game, or Sussex? One of the X's. And New Zealand were also 30 for 6 in that game. So they're rusty as fuck, right? But then New Zealand sort of like get to the point where they should almost win the game. And then even with the Collins de Gronholm, Colin, no ball of Stokes, that would have been 79 for 5 in the 4th innings, and they're chasing 280 or some shit. And then New Zealand's were like, well, we probably could have won that game. So I've really enjoyed the test match. There's enough in it for England to be like, you know what? This is a nice day out. It's a nice hit out for us. I don't know if New Zealand deserved to win the game or anything like that, but it's a nice matchup between these teams. But I will say, like, if England lost this game, I reckon we're looking at a tough summer. I think they needed to win this game deluxe. Like, because if there was falling over here, like if Root gets out in the 4th innings, I mean, that's what it comes down to. They probably lose the game. They didn't, so they've won the game. But you're looking at a long summer where it's like there's fucking holes everywhere. Now Leach has got concussed. There's injuries deluxe in the bowling ranks for England. Stressies everywhere. Fuck me, there's stressies everywhere. And then you're like, well, okay, New Zealand are going to clean sweep England and queen sweep England on Jubilee weekend.
Jubilee weekend.
Those are my thoughts, mate. I didn't watch a ball.
Yeah. Oh, look. You got a what ifs in there, but they came out on top in all the key times.
Won the game.
I keep thinking about Colin Gromit. I keep thinking about Colin getting run out in the way that he did, which is like that is like he had a good game before he got injured. He was really central to the game, but fuck, that was village shit, man. Like, are you copping that in Australia, given how the match turned on it as well? Like, because Broad was doing his thing where he was parting the skies and the fucking clouds and going everything that's happened until this point is over, and I'm a T-Rex running in, jolting the ground, and we're all just wait. It is like that, and it's fucking awesome how he does that. I love how how he conjures vibrations. It's an amazing thing, and it's a real cricket thing. Like there is, you would never be able to prove it, but there's a connection between like him doing that, wrapping Colin on the pads, the ball skewing off to wherever Ollie Pope was at gully or whatever it is, and I don't understand how a Test cricketer can lose awareness of where they're standing in that situation, but that's what Broad does to you. Like, you're so wrapped up in his orbit of power and energy and vibration. Gromit was stunned, just by the fucking Broad tidal wave. Yeah, mixing all these metaphors here, and And the game changed on that. And then because they had their foot on England's throat, and the journos, the vultures, of which we are one, were circling. You know, it was like it was the GTA. Here we go again. Shit. And all of a sudden, it's a fucking under 11s run out. It's team hat tricks, nonce talk, and then Joe Root plays a match-winning hand, which has been something he's been doing for a while now, but something he wasn't doing for a long time before. I don't know where you want to go with that. Do you want to go team hat trick first and the hard drive stuff, or do you want to go Root?
No, I want to celebrate Broad a bit as well. Like because it's not just the sequence of 3 and 3. It's the way like nothing unifies a team of 11 cricketers standing in a field in Baker's Whites of a Saturday afternoon like a comical run out.
Yes.
Comical run out. Has to be. Everyone is fucking laughing like a hyena.
That's right. Because there's chaos. There's chaos.
Fucking dumb. Yeah, this Gromit is over here trying to look at some cheese.
Yeah.
Colin and pandemonium ensues. And then the next ball where he gets Jamison, he doesn't nick him off.
Yeah.
The stump fucking spears some coat in the members in the long room.
Yep.
Stump out of the ground. Pandemonium. He's on one. He runs to fucking St. John's Wood.
Yes.
And I'm like, fuck yes, inject that. We didn't really... I think the closest we've seen that in Australia, I remember like when Michael Clark and Brad Haddon were in the team, they used to like fire up like Bay 13 as a sort of a metaphor, like just like by third. But it felt like how hostile can we make this atmosphere?
Yeah.
When Broad's doing his thing, it's a fucking steam train. It's momentum and it's exciting, and I want to be part of it. It's you must be so scared because he's not frightening pace, but he's got the skill with Anderson that like they can just get you out. Like you can make very little error, almost no error, and like they've just got such great precision and momentum in their skill set. That you're just going to get out, and you must know, like it must be weird as a test cricketer, and we relate to this all the time as a couple of fucking clubbies, that the bowler's going to get you out. But when you're at Lords and you're playing for your country and it's a big event and like this guy's running in you, you're like, I'm going to get out. I know it. And then it happens and stumps are everywhere. People are laughing. He's on one. Like that's...
But to conjure that, mate, like from the circumstances where there was like a 195 run partnership, Daryl Mitchell played superbly, and Tom Blundell just missed out on his 100. They also played excellently when no one else had made runs before that point in the game. To conjure that chaos from nothing is something Stuart Broad does better than anybody else in modern cricket, and that, and to be able to have test players. And let's call them World Test Champions just to amplify the point, though they are, but also, I don't know why it has to be caveated. Yeah, but are they? I don't know. We're about to learn that they're not playing any Test cricket, courtesy of the head of the ICC, who's also from New Zealand. But these guys don't play Test cricket, but they're the best. To have Test players take the gas like in that manner, that I'm owing that to Stuart Broad. I'm still annoyed at New Zealand if that's my country, which it's not. But like that completely reversed the game. And then, and just look, I'll speak quickly about team hat-trick stuff, right? Look, you have to note that it's a team hat-trick in clinical terms because it's 3 and 3. You're not just going to say 3 and 3 to avoid saying team hat-trick. You're saying team hat-trick because it's not the wicket of the bowler, all that kind of stuff. 3 wickets taken in 3 balls, you're going to capture it. But there's a certain intangible, know it when you hear it type of giddiness from the mouths of certain people when they say it, that it just tips over into hard drives territory, and I take issue with it, okay? It's a test match. It's a test match. Team hat-tricks are for under-11s children to enjoy after playing on AstroTurf in shorts, going to McDonald's after play. Kids with grubby, sauce-ridden fingers are telling tall stories about it. They're all involved. One of the kids has been denied Coca-Cola his whole life by a helicopter parent or two. He's bouncing off the walls. He's going to be doing that later in his life when he discovers ecstasy. That's where a team hat-trick lives. In fact, the same kids will be out on a circuit 10 years later. This time it's not Coca-Cola, it's just Coke and pingers, and they're telling the same stories. That's where a team hat-trick resides, and it's a wonderful place for it to reside. Getting into team hat-trick in Test cricket, bin, checking hard drives, nonce. That's all. I'm not saying you're a pedophile. It's like
Mate,
my
it's-
brethren and
it
champ.
just-
it lives in the same area, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we got a team hat trick,
it's
boys.
just like turning,
Ew.
yeah, it's turning up to training in a full ODI kit. That's where it kind of lives for me. It's just
I
a
don't know.
bit like a 3-3. Like it's a participation award. It doesn't fit right into the wheelhouse of Lord's cricket ground, professional cricket, highest level, world test champions.
Yeah.
10,000 test runs, 1,120 some shit wickets with Broad and Anderson. It doesn't live there. There's no,
And I'm
there's
saying,
no,
like,
there's
look,
no residence there.
We're going to get some responses. It's going to sound like, bitter Australians or whatever. I guarantee anybody listening to the show that if this happens for Australia, if they somehow get 3-3 and people start talking about a team hat trick, I'll say exactly the same thing. It applies to everybody at that level. All costs, all times.
But why can I sort of see like Ollie Pope running into the huddle being like, "Hey boys, team hat trick." Why can I sort of see that?
Yeah. But I could imagine Ollie Pope saying it ironically. You know, if you get into the ironic territory, you could do that. But like somebody, wide, I don't know. Like in Australia, that would be Marnus. Like Marnus would be going, "Oh, Team Hattie," and you say Team Hattie. Team Hattie. Yeah. Now, let's move on. He goes, if you wouldn't mind, to Joe Root.
Yeah, let's talk about Joe Root, mate.
All right. So you've got a bit. You got a statistical rundown of this, don't you? Like, what's he done here? Just say some numbers. Start getting erect about it. Then we'll talk.
Okay, so his 115 red ink in the fourth innings is his first ever fourth innings ton in Test match cricket. He's got 900 since the start of 2021. I'll say that again: nine Test hundreds since 2021. He was player of the match in this game. He went past 10,000 runs. He is the youngest to ever do that. Equal, you would have said, people are already saying this, same year and day as Alistair Cook. I understand he was he is younger by hours in some capacity or some shit, but yeah, same time. So Tendulkar is number one. I think there's about 7 or 8 guys who have passed 10,000 Test runs. I think there's about something like that. And he is the youngest to do it ever. So Tendulkar has got 15,000 and some shit. That's the most. The next most is Ponting with 13,000. Joe Root will probably pass Ponting, and he would be in the mix to go past Tendulkar. Now, of course, I think he needs to play another 30 Test matches at the same rate as what Tendulkar to pass Tendulkar. We say this all the time when guys are in just like unbelievable runs of form. We saw this with Ponting. We saw this with Steve Smith. Usually our runs go for about 2 years, maybe 3 years, where they're just electric. And Joe Root seems to be on that at the moment. So, I don't know if he'll continue this because his form is just unbelievable. But fuck me, man. What a player. 900 since 2021. It is weird that he's only ever got, this is his first ever fourth innings ton, but he is by a distance the best Test batter in the world at the moment. I'm thinking because Kane Williamson, his record in England's actually pretty poor. He hasn't scored runs in a little while. Steve Smith has obviously had a bit of a decline.
Mate, none of them can get one off the square. None of the big boys can get them off the square apart from Joe Root.
And then obviously Marnus has come in and done okay. Bubba Azam has got good numbers as well. But then no one's touching Joe Root and hasn't done for 2 years. He is by distance the best Test batter in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And people will point, obviously in Australia, it's like, well, yeah, but what's he done out here? It's like, yeah, well, we got a couple of guys who couldn't do things in other places too.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Travis said
about
was player of the tournament in the Ashes, so.
I think he is the best. I think he is the best stick in the world, and he's top of the big boys.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff. He's a VIP. He's in the center of the booth. He's calling for drinks. Guys are sitting around him. I think there's no doubt about that. I think the best thing about this innings, as we've been calling for a long time, is just the match-winning nature of it. It is the innings that decides the match. He bats better than anybody else does in the game, and that's awesome stuff. You just had numbers falling in front of my eyes before then that are just so orgasmic to hear. He brings up his. Is this good? Is it good that he brought up his ton and his 10,000th run in the same stroke? Because he gets it all in one. Like you're just taking all of your pleasures in one go, in one mouthful, if you will. He goes,
sure, I will,
Mr. Speaker. But he then gets denied the double the double applause because this isn't a 9,000th test run or an 11th. This is 10,000. So you bring up 100, 100, and at the same time 100,000. That's fucking. I mean, the autist in me is absolutely exploding. And we all have a bit of that in us if we're cricket fans. Let's be honest about it. And celebrate it. I kind of like it, but at the same time, like I would like to be at Lords and twice in the same innings get a ton. Like imagine getting a ton and then the next ball hitting a single or something, and that's your 10,000th run. You're not.
That's what I want. I don't.
10,000, mate. 10,000.
10. I mean, he won't do this ever again in his life.
Imagine getting 10,000 of anything.
Oh, mate, deluxe. 2,000 of anything. I've noticed that, like, you know, when the team score goes past like 100, 200, and you get a round of applause once you pass that, often that's a boundary. And so I like a single down to fine leg for the score to be, 200 for 4, for instance, and a nice warm round of applause congratulating the team on their efforts thus far.
I think there's too much of that.
But I don't like it.
I think it's too much.
I don't like it when it's like fucking cream through the leg side for 4, go from 197 to 201, and there's like just a collective applause. I like for the game to stop as much as possible.
Really?
Slow the game down. Yeah, slow
But
it
do you
right
reckon
down.
if we went back, some Robolinda shit and looked at cricket in the, let's even say the 80s, 70s,
Okay.
a crowd's clapping, bringing up 50. A crowd's clapping, bringing up 100. Crowds probably aren't listening to the radio. Often on the radio, people will be listening on the radio and they'll signal that there's been the 50 partnership is up. There'll be a clap for that. There's a clap every fucking second over for some milestone passed. That's his highest score in Brisbane in the winter equinox. This is the third highest 6th wicket partnership between two blokes who were born in the Tropic of Capricorn.
Yeah, on a Wednesday with their mother's maiden name starting with S. That to me is where like the team hat trick exists as well, where it's like it's just a participation award. Now, like obviously these are achievements to even like play the professional, like to play Test cricket, you've got to be good. So like these records sort of mean something, but like to dumb it back down to like village cricket or grade cricket or club cricket. Are you celebrating like a record of like this is the highest 6-wicket partnership in 3rd grade this year? I mean, obviously, yes, you are because you're desperate for something. But like, I don't.
It's just cricket. It's just cricket in the in the TV era, in the streaming TV era. Like, just something has to be happening all the time. There's got to be bells and whistles, and it's funny. It's funny to watch that confected when the truth of the matter is that cricket is deathly boring. That's part of its charm. And that's why it's exciting when fucking dinosaur T-Rex Broad makes something happen. Then we can go off. But all this smattering of applause for the Equinox stuff, not for me. Yeah. A few more things on route, he goes. So can he get to 15K, surpass Tendulkar chat? Like, whenever I think about things like this or contemplate like a really good player and how far they can go, you just start thinking about what they're going to be like in their geriatric years. And what the brand of geriatric will be for their style. And actually, I'm thinking Root's probably still looking okay, even when he can't play anymore. But then again, I thought that about Mark Waugh, and because nobody looks better than Mark Waugh, possibly nobody looked worse as well. When it was over. Don't know what it could be.
Steve Waugh's the same.
Steve Waugh just letting balls hit him, just like I can't get my bat there anymore.
I mean, Ponting was bad as well.
I don't
anyone
even think
gone out with
Ponting
great
was that
grace?
I don't know.
But Ponting's
like
career ended when he fell over when Jacques Callis bowled him. When Jacques Callis bowled him and he fell over, that was...
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah, like Mark, when Mark Taylor couldn't play for a while, it was like, you cannot play the game. And then he scored 334, so it turned out he could. Yeah, I don't know. So what are we looking at with Root? Like, he's got 5 to 7 years left in the game, possibly. He'd need about 800 to 1,000 runs a year. That'll wane. He needs a couple of big years. He needs a couple of more 1,700 run years, I guess. I'd imagine batting 4 in England when you're 35, 36, and a couple of young bloods coming through. If you've not seen it as well, it's tough. I don't know. It's just great that he's in the conversation for it. I think it's really good. The other one he goes is he's no longer captain. People have been talking about that as well. He's happy as Larry. I liked that he said I got this from Andy Bull's article in The Guardian, but it was him, Root quoted saying he's basically saying it's his turn to help Stokes as captain, like under his leadership, and he sort of says it's a great opportunity for me to do that just for him because he did it for me. I'm not sure I'll be able to do some of the things he's done, but I'll try. So he's just saying how many times like Stokes bailed him out when Root was captain, and now Root wants to do it for him. I like that friendship. I like that access.
The trenches stuff.
Yeah, trenches stuff, exactly. Go to Gallipoli JL stuff. But is it robbing Peter to pay Paul? Like Stokes got his runs in the second innings. He was knocked over, but it was a no ball, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
When we go over there, I'm pretty happy if Stokes is nullified because he's busy being captain, to be honest. Okay, Root's got to get some runs, but, one mistake, Joe. So if we can nullify Stokes, yeah.
If Stokes is a lesser player because he's worried about how wide mid-on's getting, then that's good news for the team that I support. It does seem a little bit like I want to help him the way he helped me, in the same way that like McCullum comes in as like, boys, take your catches, and then these professional athletes are like, I'm going to try a bit harder now. I'm going to try a little bit harder. I'm going to try and win this. I'm going to try and see this ball a bit better. I'm going to move my feet a bit sharper. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Actually, it does seem a bit like that, but that's also the mentality of pro athletes, right?
He goes just one more thing.
Debut.
I just want to say on Root, the charge on him was like he had 60s. He was making pretty 60s and 70s, not deciding matches.
Yep.
But without the burden of captaincy, does he now have the internal infrastructure to be a consistent daddy match winner for England? He said he was in an unhealthy relationship when he was captain, like with the captaincy. And as we know, blokes, they can get very fit once they're unburdened of a relationship. You know what I mean? Got a lot more time.
Yeah.
You get to run your own life a little bit. This is what I understand.
Yeah.
You can choose what you have for dinner. No more collaboration or negotiation. But, so he's out of that unhealthy relationship. I've seen blokes do that. I've seen blokes do that. I made in London, massive transformation. Just looks sensational after getting out of a relationship. Rig everywhere. And maybe that could be this is the next phase route.
Self-improvement. I like that. Matt Parkinson made his debut for a concussion substitute with Jack Leach, who did himself a mischief trying to fill the ball down the boundary. And it's hard to know what to make of Matt Parkinson's debut because I didn't think it looked amazing. He's got a great record in county championship, takes heaps of wicket-taking deliveries. We've seen lots of good highlights of it, lots of talk about it, the pace he bowled. Don't know, he wasn't even in the squad. He wasn't expecting to play. He's racing down the M1 to try and get a game at Lords. He would have been nervous. He gets a wicket at the end there, gets Tim Southee for his first test wicket, which was the final New Zealand wicket in the third innings of the game. But he got pumped outside of that and didn't really look threatening. But it's hard to tell. I should also say he played great cricket at my club, Pez Gordon.
What grade?
The year after Mason Crane. He started in threes and then played a couple of PG's games and... he had a very good year in first grade. The year after Mason Crane was there as well. So he's got Sydney Test cricket pedigree in him.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean it's people have been crying out for Matt Parkinson to play in this England side to get into the squad. He was obviously in the squad for most of the winter actually, most of the England winter. I mean, never got a game, so it's hard to tell. But I think it feels like one of these ones where you just got to stick with him if you're going to play him. But there might be some losses in the meantime and. I don't know. I mean, how much did you watch of him?
I watched I watched a lot of his bowling, and I guess the first thing is, it feels very unfair to pay no attention to somebody other than their numbers and stuff, or a couple of highlights, and then to only cast judgment upon him. Once he's finally made it to test level, you're sitting on a couch with a fucking burger dripping down your mouth, and you're like. Trying to assess the mechanics, the mechanics of it.
His speed's a bit slow.
First thing to say is if you play Test cricket, if you make it to Test cricket, particularly as a leg spinner, you're a worldie. Just straight up.
Probably pretty good.
I find it difficult to deal with people who have zero idea about leg spin. Just going, it's not going to cut it. It's just the pace is a bit slow. But just watching him, what would have you know, look, speaking personally, like, and this is just no comparison to this bloke who is worldy, but like one of the hardest things to deal with when bowling leg spin is like when you put as much on it as you can, it comes out well, and the batsman can just wait on the crease and just waits for it and just moves it somewhere. Like he's not drawn into the shot. And that was the pace thing that I think Peterson and stuff was talking about. This is where I have to kind of concede. I don't know enough of his bowling to know if that is his natural pace, but that is something. It wasn't quick enough. Guys could just wait, and when you can wait and play off the back foot, or just get down in the track as they could to him, like you're kind of cooked. Like he has to change that, but he might be able to change it. I don't know. I thought it was a bit 11 o'clocky and a bit out the front of the hand, but fuck me, like he's a worldie. You've got to back these guys and give them chances to fix it, you know. And they're just never going to be someone with a leggy who says like, "No, that's not going to cut it."
No,
you know,
never. Yeah. Also, he's still young and he'll probably get a bit stronger as well. Like his peak years could actually be in his early 30s. Anyway, but we also saw there was like Scott Boland, right? Scott Boland, when he first came into the Test side, his first innings, I remember watching him being like, because I hadn't really seen him bowl before at all. And it was a bit like, it's a bit 125s and not doing a lot. And then afterwards, he was saying like how nervous he was, and then he became the greatest bowler to ever play the game. So, you know, that can also be a factor. And I'm sure Matt Parkinson playing at Lords in his first Test match was probably a bit nervous, if I had to guess. Hey, mate, another debutant, Matty Potts, did well. He took 4 for 13 and 355. He's got Kane Williamson twice. Two things. How come, like, debutant bowlers, their first Test wicket is almost always the best player that's ever played? Like, you see it all the time. It's like they get, like Root or Williamson or Tendulkar or Smith or, like, whatever. Like, Kohli, like, it seems to happen all the time. Also, with Matty Potts, he's obviously had a really good start to his county championship season this year for Durham. Bowling in front of Ben Stokes, which gets him into the team, of course. This to me is like England are going to have this position, this like Chris Wokes, Matty Potts, Ben Stokes position just fucking locked down for the next 185 years. They're always going to have a guy who bowls good enough pace, seam up, can do a bit with a bat, athletic in the field. They've got so many of these guys. Wouldn't mind a few more sticks.
Well, it's just, you know, it's like the environment produces those players, right?
Exactly.
I mean, every time the Aussie guys go over there, like, who bowl seam up, they have a fucking great time too. It's just sensational. But, you know, fair play to Matty Potts. He's taken 4 for 13 on debut. So probably not going to just go like, well, you know, fuck, conditions suit, don't they?
You know? Well, that's what I've done.
That's what I've done. I'll have it both ways. I agree. Fuck, this is the best. This is the most comprehensive analysis of a Test ever. We've still got to talk to Ali Martin as well to actually give some credibility to it. Just finally, he goes, which analysis do you subscribe to for the fourth morning, like the final morning, you know, where it's kind of all poised, England's a bit ahead. So do you see it as the fourth morning, dark grey London clouds overhead, mizzle, bit of drizzle, floodlights on, 6 out, all out England, you know, backs to the wall, courageous English performance, or that the ball was completely fucked, wouldn't move in the air or off the straight, it's gun barrel, New Zealand bowled throwdowns, if anything England should have finished that in 8 overs and the fans be paid money. Which isn't
that's interesting because I can only choose 2 and there's no nuance for either of those discussions. That is tricky. Well, I'm gonna have to go for B, Sam. That it was just flat. New Zealand off the boil.
Ball was
like
fucked.
125s. Ball was fucked.
Long throwies.
Ill disciplined. Yeah, some long half volleys. Against a couple of set batters. What do you expect? Yeah. Well, when we barely spoke about New Zealand in this game, but of course, so Colin de Grandhomme had a weird game, right? Where he's actually got a really good record against Joe Root because he got him out in the 2019 World Cup final. He also got him out in the first innings here. He's got a good record against him generally, but he's injured. I saw this morning, Pez, that he's actually going to be out of the Test series. So he's done his heel. And if he kept his fucking heel behind the front line, maybe New Zealand would be one up, but they're not. Mate, when I was thinking like Daryl Mitchell, second Test 100, batting with Blundell, I was like, who the fuck is Blundell and Mitchell? Blundell and Mitchell, who are those guys? Mitchell and Blundell, like who are these? Like New Zealand just like keep churning out these amazing. They've got like a squad of like 25 world-class players, and they probably they got in a position they probably should have won this game. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't. But it's like, New Zealand. It's so unfair. So they got a guy, AJ Patel, took 10 for in a test.
I mean, on the other hand, like they match up well to England, but like, yeah, I'm still really torn because, like, my honest view of the 2019 Ashes that's related back to Australia is that, like, Steve Smith was Bradman and, like, we had some good players and we usually bowl pretty well, but, like, we can never score a fucking run there. Yeah. And, like, England always raised their game.
And it was 2-2.
And it was 2-2, and we got drunk, you know, like, as well. But like, like it's quite hard to beat England in England. They know how to play the conditions, and like they know how to knock you over, and like
win anywhere away from home.
Yeah, and so is it a case where New Zealand have actually got themselves into a really good position against an English side that was feeling pretty fresh, and Joe Root's at the top of his game, pretty good start for a team that touched down probably 72 hours ago, really. And I keep hearing the term ring rusty as well. Not for me, but they were. And Kane's not scoring any runs. Like maybe it's all upside for New Zealand. I don't know. I still sort of feel really apathetic talking about them because it's fun. And I really respect them. I really respect them, but I just keep shrugging my shoulders and going, you got mate, Kyle Jamieson killed it. He's a great player.
Such a good player.
Yeah, there's a lot to enjoy.
If you look at that bowling base, like Wagner, Henry, they've got so many good bowlers in the ranks, and they'll have good batters come. What's his name? No, not gonna remember. Not gonna remember a New Zealand key New Zealand player's batter's name now, who didn't play in this Test match, who's going to come in for Will Young, and I can't think of the guy's name. Henry Nichols.
Oh yeah, Nico.
Yeah. Anyway. New Zealand are good, but I wonder.
Hope you enjoyed that, Kiwi fans.
Yeah,
you guys are good, but we're just unsure about you.
Yeah, mate. England aren't good enough to win 3 tests in a row. I don't think. I mean, to win 3 tests in a row, it takes effort. But they go to Trent Bridge now, typically the flattest wicket in England. So what they do with the bowling ranks is interesting there. I suspect Wagner will come in and just try and bump blokes, and they might not play a spinner though. It has turned there in the past. Apparently, because I'm from Nottingham. All right. Well, if you actually want some sort of words from a guy who was actually at the game, who breathed it all in, is an England cricket fan himself, sort of.
He's a journo. He's not a fan. He's a journo.
Ali Martin of The Guardian. Here's 20 minutes with Ali right now.
Always a pleasure to be joined by one of the senior-most cricket correspondents in the UK. He's with The Guardian. It's Ali Martin. Ali, welcome back to The Great Cricketer for this season.
Hello, boys. Great to be back.
Ali, is England back?
Oh, I mean, undoubtedly, No, look, to be honest, I really think they did have to get over the line yesterday at Lord's, because I don't think New Zealand are going to be that sort of rusty as they were on day one. But to be honest, it does do quite a bit getting that win. Obviously, gets Ben Stokes off to a good start, gets Brendan McCullum's sort of new philosophy off to a sort of winning start as well, and just kind of stops the rot, to be honest, because that was a long and painful winter. I sort of was traipsing around Australia and the Caribbean, as beautiful as they are, but kind of writing the same story pretty much every day. So just to see them turn it around a bit and sort of inject a bit of positivity and actually put a bit of flesh on the bones of the positivity, because there's been a lot of talk before this series about a new era and people feeling optimistic and what have you, but really ultimately it's what they do out on the field. And thanks to I'd say the sort of game breaking abilities of Stuart Broad, and then just Joe Root, absolutely impeccable, incredible century that was, his first in the 4th innings, to get him over the line, and weirdly without any sort of wobbles or troubles, once the usual top order had sort of fallen apart. So yeah, it was a restorative win, albeit I guess caveat would be that what did we really learn? I mean, Matt Potts looks a great young find, and I'm personally very encouraged by the start he's made, because I think that kid's definitely got something. But ultimately, you're looking at kind of the established players that got England there.
Just on Joe Root, Ali, two questions. First of all, why do they still boo him? And second of all, is enough respect being put on Joe Root's name? Like it's 10,000 runs, fastest ever. It's amazing. Like he's got to get half as many again to pass Tendulkar, but like he's what 30, 31, 10,000 runs. There's like this theme in his career about not converting to hundreds and then sort of losing the captaincy, although he did step down from the captaincy, but sort of losing that. But there's sort of this narrative that like and maybe hasn't achieved what he could have done, but it's amazing what he's doing. I mean, 900 since 2021, averaging 50 plus or whatever he averages, 10,000 runs like that. But is he getting the respect?
Yeah, I'd have to say that, I think when people were talking about the big four a while ago, and maybe he was, the kind of the fourth member of that, that possibly, we were looking at as possibly a bit of unfulfilled talent there in terms of, as you say, the number of half centuries. And he's never had an inability to get to 50 and do it in a way that you almost don't notice how he's doing it. But there was that kind of, that kind of mental issue that he had that was just turning those into the big match-defining scores. Something about the last 18 months has clicked impressively. I think probably he's, I think maybe getting the World Cup out of his system in 2019, I think that probably had quite a big effect there, because he's really been able to focus on Test cricket. And weirdly, the captaincy didn't affect it. So we kind of, towards the end of his captaincy, as the kind of bits were falling off the team, he was just this, an absolute island of class in a sea of mediocrity amongst the batters. And so really now, having got this 100, the first one back in the ranks, you probably flip that around and say, does taking the captaincy away from him, does he sort of lose his purpose and his place in the team, etc.? But he's answered that pretty much straight away. So yeah, we're looking at something pretty special right now, and it's a huge boon for Ben Stokes to have Joe Root in that side, because as is well documented, there are guys sort of trying to find their feet around him. So to have that sort of permanence of class there from Root does so much for the start of Ben Stokes' captaincy, because as encouraging as that win was, it is going to be a long road back to being a competitive side in terms of the top teams in the world.
You mentioned this up the top, Ali. The senior guys showed up for this game. It was quite familiar in a lot of ways. I know England hasn't had a lot of W's, as they say, in the last however many matches. We don't even have to say anymore. I think it's 18. You've got a Root 100. Broad and Anderson are instrumental in their own way. Stokes scores runs in the fourth innings, bit of luck, but he still does a great job. So one lesson of the match, and McCullum was willing to impart this straight away, is we'll get your best players on the field at home and you'll probably be close to okay in England. My question is, did you see anything at the ground that made you think that some of those gaps in the side are closer to being addressed or filled, whether it be at the top of the order, in the middle? Maybe you think Ben Foakes deserves a longer period in the side. But because these seem to be the areas that are going to be the difference between England climbing back up the ladder or just being a side that's okay at home.
Yeah, well, I think if you're looking at the support cast, then I think that Foakes innings does plenty for him. That was actually his home debut. The guy made his England debut back in 2018, but that was first time he's played at home for a variety of reasons, mainly Joss Butler, but also an unfortunate injury last year when he slipped on a sock in the dressing room and tore a hamstring or something. So he's been a bit unlucky there, but I think that'll do a lot for him being there at the end with Root alongside him. That was a 100 partnership to get his team over the line, and he did it in pretty cool fashion. So that does plenty for him. The top order is such a hardy perennial, and you're really looking at the very, very small green shoots of recovery there. Alex Lees is a strange one. We've not actually spoken to him at all since he made his England debut. He preferred not to chat before he made his debut. He wanted to just focus on his cricket, and then he's not done anything since that kind of commands a press conference at the end of play. But he has, in his last 6 innings, he's made a start each time, and probably the last one, the 20 he made, obviously he got bowled leaving one, and he probably confused himself by changing his guard mid-innings there, which I found a bit strange. But he looked he looked a lot more comfortable, I should say, in the environment, and he played a much more positive. He's quite a static player when he's not playing well, but here he looked a bit more proactive. Zach Crawley, again, a sort of a princely 40-yard in the first innings. I think, to be fair, I think he got out to a good ball to Kyle Jameson in the second innings. And Ollie Pope, who I think they're asking so much of Ollie Pope to bat at 3. We know the guy's got a high ceiling, but you're just making it harder for him to reach it by being in an unfamiliar position. But overall, collectively, I've got to say there's a big uptick in the fielding, and maybe you should expect that at the start of a summer. You want to, there should be fresh energy out there. But I think Johnny Bairstow, those 3 catches on the first day, really set the tone there. And to be honest, they kept hitting the stumps with their shies, which, throughout the whole of the Australia tour and the Caribbean, I can't remember a single time that even a speculative shy actually hit the bullseye. But this test match, they did it 3 or 4 times. And then sure enough, if you're doing that consistently, you can create a wicket from nowhere. And that we obviously saw that in the middle of that quite remarkable team hat-trick that Stuart Broad managed to whip up. So there are kind of incremental positives there to be found. But then also we'd probably, if Colin de Grandhomme doesn't overstep and Stokes has bowled for 1 in that run chase, maybe the doom and gloom is there. So we should temper any sort of excitement about this start, but it is a start, and there were some discernible positives there.
Just as an England cricket fan, Ali, like, what do you want out of this summer? I feel like the World Cup sort of looms on the horizon, because I feel like this England generation of white ball players are too good to have won merely one trophy. Like they must want more, and that sort of looms large a little bit. But there's obviously Test match summer against New Zealand and South Africa to come. But like, what do you want out of the England summer? Runs, or Matty Potts bowled well, so that was good. But like what do you want?
Mate, I think you're confusing me for someone else. All I ever want is an easy write-up at the end of the day. That's like, I don't know. There's no fandom here. It's just whatever works out best for me. What do I want? 3-day test matches. Very quick games, a good game. What are England trying to get out this summer? Yeah, I mean, the focus is on Test cricket here, pretty much. The white ball machine, as it is pretty well oiled, and I think they're going to be a fair few reserves and kind of second string players used this summer, because the resources will all go towards the Test team. I do think that to really cement the legacy under Owen Morgan, that they've got to turn it into maybe a second trophy in Australia this year. And I'd like to think that the pitches in Australia, fast and bouncy and hard, should suit England. The one question being probably over their death bowling. But so I'm not saying that looks after itself, that team, because complacency will only see the team go one way. But they obviously start from a much higher position. This summer really is about progress with the Test team. It's about Ben Stokes bedding in as captain, really getting his messages across. I think, Brendan McCullum, it's an exciting appointment as head coach, but again, it's going to take time for his kind of approach to, filter through. He's only been in the job a week, and I didn't see him throw a single ball in training, and all he seems to really do is sit on the balcony and sort of emit vibes, and guys are kind of queuing up to sit next to him. It's quite embarrassing at times.
Oh,
but,
hell yeah.
I'd love to sit next to him. He looks like a top bloke. But but yeah, I think, and you're right, I think runs is the big one. Because there's such an injury crisis in the bowling at the moment that you're just hoping they can get through. And there's once again, we're back to Anderson and Broad. Not that that's a bad thing, because they're 2 quality operators, but expectations there are going to have to be tempered, because there's not a huge depth at the moment because of the absolute spate of back stress fractures and various other injuries that's left them pretty light there. But I think it's trying to forge a cohesive unit with the bat, from which results should hopefully follow. But you just want progress. You just want an uptick, because that was a pretty brutal winter that English cricket went through. And but when the Test team's doing all right, people feel much better about themselves.
Ali, would Matt Parkinson be feeling good about himself? So just for context, he has to make his Test debut. I say has to make it like it's his obligation. I mean, of course, he could have turned it down, but he has to do it sort of after a few hours of racing down. Is it the M1 from Manchester or whatever? And so, like on the one hand, like he doesn't have a week to stew on his debut, because we know spinners famously are, you know, they have issues in their head. And on the other hand, he's got one single highway down the country to think solely about his debut, where he's going to be starting in a few hours. So the only question that matters is, did Shane Warne's heavenly ghost approve of Matt Parkinson or some shit?
A good question. It's incredible. I mean, look, there you are. You're mentioning Shane Warne. This is like, I mean,
I did say or some shit.
Yeah, but it's remarkable, you know. I kind of when a batter makes their debut, do people start sort of holding them up against Bradman? You know, do we look at Matt Potts and say, wow, he's not quite Glenn McGrath yet, is he? But you know, it's incredible, you know. But English cricket's relationship with leg spin is just, you know, what is my colleague Andy Ball, right? He said it should be between English cricket and its therapist or whatever. You know, maybe, but it's a long-standing problem, a sort of misunderstanding of how leg spin works. I think Parkinson should feel pretty good about himself. He's off the mark. He got, you know, I thought it was a pretty good bit of captaincy from Ben Stokes to bring him on against Tim Southey. When Tim Southey, you know, it's a bit of a gamble, a bit of a risk, but there was a risk reward there, and it actually shut down that New Zealand innings. When, you know, we're looking at 20, 30 more runs, New Zealand maybe get a crack with a second new ball in that
Absolutely.
run chase. But it was obviously a supporting role that he was playing out there. We didn't see much spin for either spinner. Obviously, Ajaz Patel got a bit of treatment from Stokes in the run chase as well. So they weren't conditions where a spinner's going to, you know, sort of run through a side. And he did a very small but not unimportant role at the back end of that innings. And, you know, I think he should probably walk away feeling pretty good about himself. And I guess the question is whether he's sort of got the mental fortitude to kind of block out a lot of the early hot takes that were flying around, particularly about his pace. You know, is that something he's got to work with, or is that something that can make him a unique bowler? Because he does, you know, he produces a lot of wicket taking deliveries in county cricket, and his average is in the low 20s. Maybe that says more about county batters. I don't know, but. You know, I think he should be feeling pretty good about himself, and that trip down the M1 was, you know, via Keel services, and no doubt a sort of Ginster's pasty from W.H. Smith when he was en route. You know, he should reflect on a good week, and I think he's going to play a bit of blast cricket between now and the Trent Bridge Test. At his request, where he's going to come up against his twin brother Callum, who's the left-arm spinner for Leicestershire. But I think with Jack Leach, poor old Jack Leach, that was his first home test in 3 years. You know, McCullum's big thing, or one of his big pronouncements, was you need to chase every ball to the boundary. Jack Leach does exactly that, tumbles over, hits his head, and he's concussed. I mean, it just, you know, really feel sorry for him. His sort of back to playing protocols mean that he is technically ready to play in the Trent Bridge Test. Whether England feel that's a big ask for a guy coming off the back of 7 days out with concussion is another question. I'd probably expect Parkinson to hold his place unless it's seaming conditions and they look at the extra seamer.
Just finally, Ali, we won't mention New Zealand. Let's face it, they're just Washington Generals as the World Test champions. Whatever. Nice of them to come out. 17 wickets on day one in Ahmedabad. You know, that generally reflects some fundamental lack of truth in a wicket, as pronounced by Chino wearing tanned, slim, low BMI English commentariat guys. But when it's seam and swing and I'm at Lord's and I've got a Pimm's in my hand and there's, you know, remnants of a line of Raz in the bathroom toilets at 11:30 a.m., you know, it's sublime skill. So how do you think the deck played?
I think it played all right. I mean, it's funny that one. Obviously I can't be a spokesperson for the English commentariat, as you say, and I can only call it as I see it. And my memory is that Ahmedabad Test, whether the ball was more responsible than anything that the pitch was throwing up. That ball, the extra lacquer on it, balls were skidding straight on or turning without any discernible change of action from the bowler. That made it a bit of a lottery. In England, yeah, you can get, you know, calamitous days, 17 wickets, you know, the gates barely shut on the picket fence in front of the pavilion, people coming and going, absolute carnage, pads flying everywhere in the dressing room, etc. But in England, I guess the spinning wicket maybe doesn't get better. in England, a pitch can start off green and move around a bit. Obviously, you have swing as well, which what can you do about that? And you probably had a ring rusty team in New Zealand, pitching up at Lords after pretty poor preparation, and England a side low on confidence. So I think it was a kind of perfect storm for that. And so I just think it's a bit of a false equivalence, to be honest. Not that I personally had an issue with the pitch at Ahmedabad. I probably
exactly that's the secret answer.
Well, that is it. But yeah, albeit I think the pink SG ball needs a bit of work. But it was a chaotic start to the 250 runs and 17 wickets on the opening day. But I think, or as the game went on, and actually, I'll tell you what was interesting. What I found more interesting was on day 2 when things calmed down a bit. And Mitchell and Blundell put on that big partnership, and suddenly England start thinking. Well, suddenly there's a bit of chat going around. England haven't got any X factor here. They've got the 2 old boys getting a bit leggy out there. They've got this young whippersnapper who looks like a very traditional English seamer. Where's the X factor? Where's the pace? And I think to myself, hang on a minute. This is just a regular day of Test cricket. We've seen probably again 250 runs, 7 wickets have fallen, and England did all right. They hung in there well. And if this is the last question, I can't believe you're not going to ask about the team hat trick with Stuart Broad. Whipping up the crowd. It's like you're in complete denial about it. That was one of the great moments of the Test match.
Mate,
it's the most village thing I've ever heard in my time.
That's right. Yeah, team hat tricks at Test level. Yeah, that is bin stuff. But we also, we have another section talking about the game ourselves as well. Like, and to that end, and so we'll talk about Broad there, but to that end, we appreciate your time, Ali, at short, and we will say that it's been stuff, but yeah, we really appreciate your time, and thank you for lending a big air of credibility to the conversation. And especially at short notice, mate. So yeah, hopefully catch up with you throughout the summer if you're keen to do it after this exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, love chatting to you boys, and good to see England back up and running. We'll see what happens, but yeah, should be a fun summer, whatever.
That's what. Cheers, Ali.
Thank you very much to Ali Martin of The Guardian for giving us his time, and we welcome him back for the summer ahead, amongst others. You get value. You get value.
Oh, it's an hour
talking about Draymond Green, and then you get Ali Martin just telling us what really happened at the cricket. So that's good. But of course, what people are really tuning in for, Pez, this week is Sri Lanka, Australia. 3 T20s, 5 ODIs, 2 tests. That first test starts at the end of June 29, so it's a little while away. But in between there, 8 white ball games for Australia and Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. Oh, this is titillating. In all seriousness, if Australia don't win both these series, I will be fucking livid.
Oh yeah,
livid.
It's our national right.
Mate, if they lose more than 2 games, I'll be incandescent with rage. That includes the tests.
Really? Like, I mean,
yeah. If they lose, so they're playing 10 games. 10 games, Pez. So that's 3 T20s, 5 ODIs, 2 tests, 10 matches. And if Australia lose more than 2, that's failure. But failure.
You know how it is. It's like, it's Sri Lanka. It's we're all asleep. Things can happen in white ball games overseas.
I'm not watching it.
Oh no, I know. It's like they'll be experimenting. They're not without. They're with it. Yeah, that's right. And that's going to make things difficult for them. Sometimes good for some people, like Andrew Johns, who played for New South Wales. And
one more game than you and I.
He got a game for New South Wales. Fucking hell, what an era. What an era. I saw a footy show clip the other night come up. It was Shane Shackleton of the Parramatta Eels impersonating Fui Moi Moi with dreadlocks. That was an era too. Anyway, about 5% of people understand that. So, yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Things could happen. And they're going to say they're experimenting with stuff. They're without Zampa. And best of luck to him and Harriet, expecting a child shortly. And Cummins is rested as well, I think. I mean, for me, the thing is 7 of the 11 guys who are playing tonight did a full IPL. Steve Smith's batting up 5. That probably works in Sri Lanka. to be honest, for me.
Yeah, maybe.
Can Aaron Finch still play the code? That's an eternal thing to watch.
Yeah.
Kane Richardson beats Jai Richardson and Saba to Cummins' spot. Josh Inglis misses out after doing pretty well against Sri Lanka. They've probably, if it doesn't work for Finch, that's probably the big one for me. But other than that, they should. Agar's going to be frontline spinning. I think he's a good cricketer. You expect them to win every game and every moment of every match at all times.
Yes, you're right with experimentation because they've taken 6 spinners to Sri Lanka. They're taking Agar. Fucking hell. I
can do it. Swepson,
all of them.
Kuhnemann, Tanveer Sangha, Todd Murphy, who we're about to speak to.
Murphy, and Nathan Lyon.
Nathan Lyon. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. Australia's 4th most test wickets ever. So they're taking 6 spinners there. I know George Bailey said that there's a real dearth of talent there. So I think they're just trying to get as much experience into these guys as possible. But it does seem to me, I want to see, can Mitchell Marsh still fucking carry this team? He had a pretty good back end to the IPL. He had a wonderful World Cup. He just single-handedly won a couple of games for Australia in that Bangladesh West Indies series last year when we couldn't play the sport anymore. And he's in a rich vein of form at the moment with his white ball shit. So that's interesting. But it does feel to me like the narrative really does rely on Aaron Finch and if he can still play this sport anymore. Because if he has a lean series here, there's probably just long enough that they're going to start experimenting with other guys. I mean, 3 T20s. I think he's got to get it. He's got to get at least 150. I think. I think if he's, it's arbitrary, isn't it, to say he needs to hit 125 runs in those 3 games, otherwise he's out. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it does feel like if they're going to make a change at the top and with the captaincy, now's a long enough time to rebuild before the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Finch, it's like, how's he hitting the ball, really? Because especially at T20 level, there's no runs, but it's bad luck, and then there's he's struggling. Yeah. He's struggling to pick it up, or his rhythm's off, or his technique's out, or something. And I think with Finch, I mean, you'd take if he made 330s at a good clip, and the power play was strong. Yeah, sure. He's okay. So it's just gonna the last year or so. It's just looked really out of sync. So hopefully he can cash in on slower wickets. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, mate. I think by and large, though, that T20 team's a pretty happy team. Even talking to Dave Warner for our Delhi stuff a few weeks ago, he specifically called out the Australian T20 team as a team that likes to get into the showers. And Warner's been in a few teams, and it just gave me a distinct impression. If they're a team that tubs together, then I feel safe and happy with that, because there's enough woke virtue signaling guys in there as well who live sustainably, and I think the nexus of sustainable living and tubbing is really the future of Australian cricket, and it's best exemplified by the current world champions at T20 sides. So I expect a bit of bench strength will be shown here, and I expect bulk victories. on the back of that.
Yeah, it feels the same as England's white ball setup. It seems like a fun team. The white ball's
just
a fun team.
Yeah.
Also because they're all just playing franchise cricket, just float around, get a bit of bunts in their back pocket, give it a whack, get off.
Hit bombs, take your catches, land a couple slower balls, have a tub. It's fucking T20 cricket. Piss on each other's legs.
We're talking about future cricket.
Get Trough-Man in. Get Trough-Man in. I just on Patreon, he goes, if you do like Patreon, we've been talking about Trough-Man, who lies in troughs and liked to get pissed on in the 70s and the 80s. And we also spoke to a guy as well last week, he goes, who, again, speaking of tubbing stuff, Liam last week wrote in, hadn't played cricket since the age of 11, wanted to return to the game at age 27. Normally that's because people have identity or dad issues when it comes to runs and wickets. But he actually wanted to get back involved because, as he describes, he's a largely heterosexual guy, and he just wanted to experience the panoply of cocks in the side. So he'd really enjoy the Australian T20 side too. Patreon.com.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Patreon.com/Great Cricketer if you're into that sort of gear. India, South Africa is a series that's also coming up. They're playing 5 T20s all in India. The first game is in Delhi on Thursday. I don't really have much to say about this. We're also not covering West Indies, Pakistan. I'm just telling you it's a series that's going on. India's playing. That means lots of interest in that. Feels like a lot of guys are getting a lot of teams are getting into. This is post IPL now. The cricket's starting again, but not many Test matches at the moment, apart from the New Zealand England series or the England New Zealand series, if that's how you want to phrase it. But yeah, all these guys getting ready for the T20 World Cup, which is obviously in October in Australia,
Yeah.
October, November, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So countries are getting their shit sorted for that. Anything to have India, South Africa, first game Thursday, Pez, big one. Looking forward to it.
So India's testing their bench strength. No Sharma, Kohli, Bumrah, Jadeja, it's possibly. Well, he's definitely out. Thankfully, India have 87 backups in each position. I think the one to watch is probably Umran Malik. See if he gets a game. Bloke bowls absolute wheels, but it's loose. So he bowls middle over stuff, but it's just wheels in India. So that's exciting. That's a feeling I might have. South Africa's gone in with a strong side. I just absolutely cannot wait for this series or some shit.
For those who haven't watched the IPL at all, Umran Malik is a guy who's playing for Sunrisers Hyderabad, and he was bowling like 155s consistently in the IPL. So his bowl's fucking rapid. But then also Lockie Ferguson bowled the ball in the IPL final, which was 157 k's an hour. So that's Lockie Ferguson, 157 k's an hour. Fucking hell, that is.
Him.
That's, so there's that. Now, on the future of cricket, Pez, you would have seen during the week some comments by the head of the ICC about, particularly related to women's cricket, that there is no interest really in sort of developing women's test matches, or even for that matter men's test matches, and there's just going to be white ball deluxe. Now, I sort of took away from that. Now, obviously, that's upset a lot of people because, especially in Australia and England, where test matches have been quite successful. I think that's fair to say they've been successful in the consumption of the sport. What it said to me was, in the modern day of monetizing a globalized sport, Test cricket is not the way to do that. There is no way to there is a way. There's no real interest. It's not the most efficient way to maximize profits from the sport, which is obviously what the sport is about.
Yeah.
Through test cricket. Test cricket is an archaic pastime which takes 5 days. If it goes into a 5th day around the world, I think grounds, counties, states often lose money if the game goes 5 days. Broadcasters lose money as well. So there's no real interest in that. That's also part of the reason why there's a 4-day test match discussion endlessly. So it seems upsetting because we've covered the IPL for 2 months, and look, the IPL is really good fun, and it's really good cricket, and there's something there for you every night. You have a bite, it's good. But Test cricket, I mean, come on, Test cricket, come on. I think I would suggest that most people listen to this are like really big cricket fans, right? You're probably not going to get passing interest cricket fans in this. Come on, boys, just try and get to the cock stuff quicker.
Where's the panoply stuff?
It's just, So I think people, I'm already preaching to the choir, people like Test cricket. I mean, there's so many better narratives. We've just spoken for a fucking hour about one Test match went for 3.5 days. That's where the richness of the sport is, but there ain't no money in it. So let's just get a couple more T20s. Blokes playing each other way more, just move them around, franchises, new shirts, new something for the eyes, fireworks, a couple of R&B dances when the ball gets hit, a couple of cooeys when the bowler gets changed. Let's give it a whack, get out. See you later.
So
let's do that.
The head of the ICCs, Greg Barclay, is a Kiwi guy, and he came out with some comments this week because they're about to put the Future Tours program together for like 2023 to 2031. So it's the program that basically says who's playing whom in what format for like 8 years.
Yes.
And that's obviously a pretty long process, and it reflects the priorities of international cricket, really. And he made some, I found his comments like they were refreshingly like pointed or refreshingly direct and seemed to be honest. And
honest, yeah.
That part was refreshing. I think what it revealed was less fun or good, but men's Test cricket, he says, is something that represents the legacy and history of the game. but it was costing nations money to play the longest format. And he was sort of saying that, like, the shorter formats, they actually help sustain Test cricket. So you can't, you can't sledge those formats so much because that's what keeps Test cricket going. But that, a lot of the member nations, basically not India, Australia, and England, they're going to have to play less Test cricket because they can't afford to play. Just basically, they're going to have to play less Test cricket. Now, I'm like, look, not just going to make loose comments on this without really interrogating it too much. Like, I think parking the idea of a bit less Test cricket for non-member, or for those big three nations, that's one thing. Like, I was disappointed to hear that they're basically saying, we're not really that keen on women's Test cricket, because it doesn't make money. It's not sustainable. It's like, well, if you say that, then that's what it's going to be. I mean, we see with women's cricket that if you do make investments, you do let it be a loss leader if it needs to be for a little bit of time. It's just like any investment; it will start to reward you if you make that investment. Like, I'm surprised with the momentum of women's cricket generally trending up that they don't make more provisions to see if they can make this a more viable thing. I just thought the tone of the comments was disappointingly dismissive of the idea. We can all be adult enough and understand profit and loss, dollars and cents, all of that kind of thing. But it did seem a little bit kind of crassly geared towards, like in grade cricket terms too, which is how it should be. Side mouth, just like, well, there's no profit in it, so why would we pursue that? It's like, oh well, if there's no profit in it right now, let's just sack it off. I mean, I'd say they should keep investing in that. I think it will help grow the game longer term, and I think it's the same thing can broadly or philosophically be said about other nations that don't make money from Test cricket yet as well. I think that there should be more collectivist approach to it. I think more money from the richer nations should go back into it to keep it going, because I'm actually not that against a bit less Test cricket because it makes Test cricket more special. That's why. I'm not necessarily for endless fucking domestic T20 cricket. I'm not on that train at all. I understand that's where it's going, but driving that is bulk profit. I think, but I just feel skeptical about these decisions being made by administrators for whom there's a concerning lack of custodianship in their protection of the game longer term, and more being driven by perhaps a 2 or 3 year tenure in the post where you deliver profit in that time to your board and jump the fuck out to another job. And the fans of the game or the audience of the game are continually told that, well, if we can't make bulk profit now, then we're not going to invest in it. It's like, I just prefer a little bit more long-term thinking and protection.
It feels extremely short-termist, that exact principle where if you are put into a position of power, of custodianship of the game, where your directive is to make as much money as possible in your time, and then you move on to fucking, European handball, to try and get some money out of that. That's obviously the general transition from the
esports European handball is fucking, it's a big growth market.
That's right. Yeah. Then it's what's an issue, isn't it? It's an issue. But I also think like how many domestic T20 leagues are there going to be? Because India's just going to swallow them all up. We also say like it's also weird how they've sort of binned women's Test cricket. Haven't binned it, but it's definitely a low priority when they've never actually tried to run it in India, which is obviously the epicenter financially of the sport. So like, but they now going to try and run like the IPL, the women's IPL, which they had like some exhibition games at the back end of the men's IPL just as a trial. And also if you go to the IPL website, you can go to like men's and women's. There's like a tab at the top, and the women's tab is just like it's functionless because there is no women's IPL just yet. But it's 404. And then we saw with Lisa, exactly.
Page not found.
You're fucking telling me. Bad fucking through the gateway. Come on. It's fucking so lazy.
Through the gate.
That's pedestrian. Yeah, through the gate. Then we saw like Elisa Healy the other day talking. The other day, it was about a year ago now, where she was talking about how the women's IPL was going to be slated at the same time the women's Big Bash is, just to fucking monopolise that whole thing. Because obviously then the women's Big Bash is dead, and then everyone just goes plays. Yeah, so it's just. I don't know.
Make the
It's
Big Bash has
difficult
got
to
issues, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you're telling me. All right, Pez, I think that we should crack on and talk to Todd Murphy. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
But before we do that, Pez, we've also got to thank our dear friends at Budgie Smuggler, where they're running the Most Ordinary Rig competition.
They are, he goes. We talked about this last week. We've had some, not entrants, we've had some submissions via our SpeakPipe where we've asked people to tell us about their rigs and their relationship to their rigs. This is all part of Budgie Smugglers UK's Most Ordinary Rig competition. Entrants are open until June 12th. Okay, so if you want to post your rig to go into the running for a 12-month modelling contract with Budgie Smuggler, a billboard in your hometown saying welcome to Town X, home to UK's Most Ordinary Rig, an all-expenses paid trip to Australia in 2023 to compete in the world's Most Ordinary Rig, and a sash with UK's Most Ordinary Rig, which is very prestigious, what you got to do is post a pic that captures your personality in Smugglers with hashtag Budgie Smuggler UK and at Budgie Smuggler UK. Okay, the finale is in London on July 2nd. All you got to do is post some shit. Okay, and we're celebrating ordinary rigs. This isn't about saying you've got to be able to grate cheese on it and shit like that. And so, in order to help amplify that, we thought, well, why don't we just ask a couple of people about rigs? We talk about rigs a lot on the show. We're just going to be 2 entrants today. Okay, but what we're doing is we're asking you get onto that link, which we'll put in the show notes. Okay, get onto that link, speakpipe.com/TGC. Tell us just 30 seconds. What's your relationship to your rig? My relationship to my rig is I'm learning to appreciate it. I'm learning to appreciate what it can offer. Okay, I'm learning to appreciate what it can offer. Keep repeating it. But here's what a couple of other people said. Here goes. Can you show us?
So my rig, and it's probably typical of a 21-year-old bloke who hasn't really got much going on in life. It's like beer belly, couple of stone overweight. My relationship with it is couldn't care less. Covered in hair. If I could relate my rig to a cricket player, it would be batting at 9 and not bowling and doing fine leg to fine leg.
All right, and should we go again?
Yep, next one.
Here's the second one.
The key to the rig is all about the shoulder blades. It's all about if they're down and back. If they're not down and back, little hunched, looks a bit sloppy no matter what you're working with. Once the posture's in line, straight up and down, you could have very little shit, which is what I got, but it pops it. It's all about the pop.
It's a broad church. That's
a rich tapestry of sloppy rigs.
What do you make of that posture wise? He goes as a resident rigsman. I mean, he's right at the end there, isn't he? Down and back.
Yeah. No, for sure. But you got to be careful when you're not getting into like invisible lat syndrome, where it looks like you're carrying a couple of briefcases out to the side here. Just doing that, just really trying to expand it back.
Carrying a couple of watermelons.
Yeah, that's right. That's not a good look for anyone. But I think that our American compatriot is correct with that assessment. If you're slunched over, you get a little bit of a paunch there going on. No good. No good. But we're celebrating the ordinariness.
So we want to hear from you. What's your relationship to your rig? Do you have any comments on rigs? Speakpipe.com/TGC. And if you want to enter UK's Most Ordinary Rig, just post your pic that captures your personality in Smugglers to hashtag Budgie Smuggler UK and at Budgie Smuggler UK. He goes, can you post all of that in the show notes so people can see some shit?
I suppose I can do that for everyone out there. All right, should we speak to Australia's latest off-spinning sensation, 22-year-old Todd Murphy, Pez?
Yeah.
Okay, here he is.
This man was selected in the Australia A squad to tour Sri Lanka after just 2 matches for Victoria. He's 21, I want to say. He bowls offies. No one on the tour will know who he is at all. They'll think he's a bloke who's wearing a lanyard. And that gives us a great number of things to discuss in this interview. What a disrespectful thing to say up the top. It's a great pleasure to welcome from Sri Lanka at 7:30 a.m. over there, Todd Murphy. Todd, welcome to The Grade Cricketer.
Boys, thank you very much for having me on. As I said to you, Pez, I'm a massive fan of the show, so I'm actually really excited for this. And I was interested to see where you're going to go with that intro, because obviously you usually go through the stats and I've got absolutely none of them. So you've done well to come with.
Well, that's your first mistake, Todd. I mean, you're in the Australia squad now, so I think you are for us. Even if you are a fan, keep that to yourself, obviously, and just commence the dynamic that way. Or maybe in 5 or 6 years, you'll pretend this chat never happened. First things first. You're 21, is that right? You're 21 years of age.
Yeah, 21.
21. You've played a bit of club cricket. You've played 2 games for Victoria. Now you have Australian kit. Is it fair to say that club cricket's pretty easy?
I wouldn't say that. I've done my time through club cricket. I've played, I think, 4 or 5 years at St Kilda now. So love my time there. And it's been a great, time for me to go through there and, work towards this. So, obviously getting the Australian kit's always nice. And it probably does beat wearing the Saints kit, that's for sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure you have actually done your time in grade cricket, Todd. 4 or 5 years. Don't come up with 4 or 5 years. I've been doing this for 10. And I'm still trying to get some Aussie kit, so don't. Sorry, it's unnecessarily aggressive. I want to ask you, Todd. Like, I mean, cricket's weird, isn't it? Because you played 2 games for Victoria. You took 4 for and 3 for against Tasmania. You also put on you scored 25 batting at 9 or something. Put on 50 runs to win the game for Victoria to get them into the final. And then Victoria then only pick 1 spinner because they're playing at the Wacker, John Holland, obviously. And then a couple of weeks later, you get picked in an Aussie squad ahead of John Holland, and now you're just in an Aussie side. Like that's a really odd rise to the Australian team.
Yeah, well summed up. It is. It's bizarre. Like for the whole sort of season, I wasn't even the #1 spinner at Victoria. So played 1 game and then managed to do okay, and somehow I've ended up over here in Sri Lanka with blokes that have played Test cricket and blokes that have played a lot of games for Australia. So it is bizarre, but also I'm not going to knock it back, and I'm really excited for the tour.
You were playing cricket at Kahlin Oval in Darwin, like literally a fortnight ago, and I know that because I bought my children a solo from the canteen, and you were a couple of meters away. Wondered if you sort of recognised me, vice versa. Nothing happened. I could hear the opposition saying things like "walking in with the bowler," and you guys were like huddled under a tin roof, like near the scorers. And now you're in Sri Lanka with like David Warner. Thoughts? Like how are we dealing with that change in aesthetic?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I did see you walking into Kahlin Oval, and I wasn't going to say anything to you, and I don't think you were going to say anything to me. But
no one's going first.
It's bizarre, like to think. 2 weeks ago I was in Darwin playing club cricket, which I love. Like it was good fun up there, and then I suppose transition over here where it's a completely different ball game, different landscape with completely different guys. It's been a strange sort of couple of months the way it's worked out, but Darwin, what a place.
Hell of a place.
Well, I want to ask about training, Todd, like training for it, because when I think about, like, obviously when you're playing international cricket, obviously Pez and I play international cricket, we've sort of experienced the highs and lows of all that. But like you sort of think about, okay, I'm playing against the best, right? And so you got to be up for that. But then I think about like actually training with the Australian cricket team, like, at club training, you might have like 1 first grader, and there's basically like the opening bat of second grader who fancies himself as an off spinner, who like try and get you out and there'll be shit wickets and you'll be having a laugh. It's not really a training session, but the Australian cricket team, you've got to be like, you would have to be up for that every single time you go to training, because you got Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, et al. Running into you, trying to kill you. So like, is there a transition between actually like going from club training, although St Kilda, very good club, very successful, etc., to international training where like there is no one behind a net with arms folded having a chat because you're playing for the Australian cricket team?
Yeah, well, thankfully I don't have Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins and that running into me over here. I sort of position myself to bowl to the batters and then get the feed at the end with a dog stick, and that's about all I get. But you're right. Exactly. It's a big difference from training at clubland where you can sort of just go through the motions, get what you need out of it, and sort of finish when you want to finish. Where over here, you sort of you got to try and impress the right people and work hard, and I suppose bowl your balls over here and get all that in. So training like a long couple of hours, a long grind, and over here where you're dripping wet because it's so hot. It's quite tough.
Well, also, Pez, can't jump on the back of that, Pez. I've seen photos and videos of guys guarding the nets with AK-47s at training. So that's and I am talking about St Kilda again here. But that's
trying to stop guys leaving.
Sounds like you're talking about the COVID marshal officer at St Kilda.
We've got to get 10, boys. No one goes home until we get 10. Yeah.
That's why Andrew McDonald's such a good coach.
Sorry, but that's weird, right? Those guys, those military guys with machine guns guarding the nets.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. Police escort to and from the hotel. Blokes jump out of their car and run beside the bus and make sure you get off safely. And yeah, you walk into the ground and there's blokes all the way around the ground and at the nets with AK-47. So yeah, you feel safe. It's great.
Okay, so can we start to sort of narrow in on training? And like, you're 21, you've been added to the squad kind of, speculatively with a host of other spinners because it's Sri Lanka and we all know they're going to play like 18 spinners in every game they're playing. And how did you socially and culturally manage yourself in an Australian side where you've not met a lot of the guys? I've got a question about your glasses later, just from an aesthetic perspective, and whether you use that as an angle or whatever. But like, you've got Tanvir Sangam, Matt Kuhneman, yourself there. It's a bit of a sort of Swepson, a bit of a post Nathan Lyon thing. Like, how do you manage yourself at training? Do you let guys come into the net if you're about to bowl? Do you stop? Do you take the old balls? What are just some of the things you can do so that people go, oh, he's a good fella, he's a good stick? Is it sex stories? What are we looking at?
I was actually quite lucky. I do know most of the blokes on the A tour from Victoria, the Sixers, sort of around the trap. So there wasn't too many guys I hadn't met before. But yeah, it's an interesting one. On training, you get in there, you sort of try and position yourself where you think you might be able to compete against a guy and not get whacked around the whole time. So I also like to get a new cherry in my hand and work from there to make sure the boys know that I'm ready to go from ball ones. But yeah, it's always nice to drop in a few off-field stories at training and keep it lighthearted with the boys. So I think they enjoy that side of it as well.
Have you had any you're probably not going to give this away, but like, have you had any sort of like, what are you doing here? Or like, what are you here for, man? Like any level of that? Who are you? Are you the new comms guy?
Well, I haven't had that yet, but I'm sure some of the boys are probably thinking it. I suppose they don't want to tell me that, but yeah, I'm sure most of them are probably thinking that when they seen the squad come out, who the hell is this bloke? But yeah, I'm over here now, I'm bowling to them, so yeah, I'm not gonna knock it back.
Okay, just to follow up to that as well, like right or wrong, mainly wrong. Cricket's all about aesthetics, like you wear what's been described to me anonymously by one of your colleagues as Coke bottle glasses. I'm being over familiar here, aren't I? Like, I feel like we're friends. Do you see these as a disadvantage when it comes to like the style aesthetic in cricket, which can be the difference between glorious success or rank failure? Like, run us through your glasses, your relationship to them, and I see on your Insta that you actually have you've got a 6-pack there as well. So do you look up to Jack Leach?
Yeah, great question. Jack Leach is obviously a massive inspiration to me and something I want to aspire to be like. But yeah, you're right. Cricket, all about aesthetic. I've never heard the Coke bottle terminology about the glasses, but
okay.
Yeah, they're a part of me now, so I'm just going to embrace it. And if the piss gets taken out of me for it, I'm all here for that. So the boys at St Kilda at Victoria, I get called goggles all the time. So yeah, I'm well and truly used to that side of it. But yeah, I embrace it. I'm happy with it, and I've always worn them, so I don't really know anything different. But yeah, if it can turn me into a little cult, then happy days.
Yeah, cult angle.
Yeah, I remember after Steve Smith was seeing the 2019 Nationals dancing on the pitch with glasses on. He was saying it was Chris Rogers actually celebrating Todd Murphy's selection 3 years down the track in Sri Lanka. Not many people know that, but that's what happens. No, I saw that there's obviously a coach, there's a coach staff shortage in Sri Lanka, Todd, at the moment. Andrew McDonald had COVID as he's coming over later, etc. So what's the hierarchy in the nets at the moment? Because you're obviously bowling, but are you being asked for extra throwdowns from guys? Like, are they respecting you? Are they interested? Are they helping your game? Or is it just like, mate, just give me 10 throws here. Just give me 10 minutes of throws, which turn into half an hour?
No, they're pretty good actually. Like, I suppose as a spinner, you get overused as bowler. You just bowl and bowl and bowl until the boys are happy. But yeah, in terms of the dog stick and that, I don't have to worry about throwing too many balls. I'll just bowl until they're happy. And yeah, if it means that I walk out of the nets absolutely cooked, then I suppose that's just all part of it.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, because we've asked about 10 questions inviting you to say that your teammates are bullies. In all seriousness, and
why aren't you biting?
It seems as though they're not. What have you been told, if you're allowed to say, about like what the trip is for you? Because I know there's a lot of spinners there, and there's a broader conversation in Australia about post Nathan Lyon and all that kind of stuff, and they have taken a lot of spinners over there. Like, what's success for you on this trip?
Yeah, I sort of, like, when I first got told I was coming over here, it was more like just about the learning side of it and coming over here, getting used to the conditions, I suppose, with the aim of hopefully one day coming back again. But yeah, it's actually, like, over here bowling in the nets, it's sort of not what I expected. They're not the Bunsen burners that everyone sort of speaks about. The pitches actually are still quite good with a bit of bounce and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out during the games. But yeah, for me, sort of success, how I'll measure that, I suppose it's learning and just trying to take a few things out of it. And that means if I don't do that well on the field, then so be it. And I'm not even sure what sort of opportunities I will get over here. Whether or not I'll play many of the 4 games or not. But yeah, being over here and just making sure, I suppose, I tap into the boys' knowledge and everything like that, and try and go back to Australia with a better, well-rounded bowling. So that's what I'm looking to get out of it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Did you have any inkling that you might be named in that side? And like, what was how did you find out? Who called you and all that kind of gear?
Well, I knew there was a tour going on because I'd been told about that, but I sort of didn't really see myself in the picture at all for that. So, yeah, I got a phone call when I was up in Darwin from Tony Dottermaid. Didn't have his number in my phone at all. Sort of just did the general, hello, Todd speaking. He said, "G'day, Todd, how you going?" And I had to ask, who is this? Because I had no idea.
Yes. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I offered him there. And then from that, yeah, he sort of just went through and let me know what the plan was for the tour, and that I'd be a part of it. So yeah, it was a pretty cool phone call to get, and something I didn't really expect.
Nice.
Because we've unnecessarily set you up as like a third grader who's got a gig in the Australian team, which is completely unfair because you've played Aussie 19s, you've played first class cricket, and now you're in the Australian setup. So like, I mean, have you noticed a marked jump between like first grade cricket, Aussie 19s, first class to what you've seen so far in Sri Lanka? Is it a very steep cliff from sort of the bottom to where you are?
Yeah, it's different. I suppose you're over here with guys that are so confident in their game and the way they go about it. They know exactly what they're doing. And I suppose with the state squads and that, you got guys that are sort of at different levels of their development and their careers with rookies and senior guys. So over here, everyone's just, I suppose, so well-rounded and assured on what they want to do, which makes it a completely different sort of ball game from, club cricket, under 19 stuff, where guys are just trying to develop, where over here, everyone sort of knows what they're doing and just embraces that.
How do you feel about your game, Todd? Like, could you describe your style as a spinner? And did you watch like Matt Parkinson's debut with any interest as well? Because we were just talking earlier in the show about how you can just grind for so long as a spinner for years and years and years. And then, some bloke sitting on the couch with his corn chips or burger dripping off his mouth will judge you only when you finally cracked Test cricket, and will often be quite like unhelpful or not complimentary when they do so. Like, what you're 21, you'd be really early in your spinning journey. Like, how do you deal with all that kind of stuff? You're about to be thrust into the frame where Aussies will see you as a spinner. They'll have no idea about the art, but they'll judge you anyway. Yeah,
it's a great question. And honestly, with only playing 2 first class games, in myself, I don't really know how I stack up either. So I suppose it's going to be interesting to see how it goes along the way to see, how I do go. But yeah, I didn't watch the test match too much about Parkinson, but it's always nice to see spinners playing. But yeah, you're always going to get, I think, spin in particular, you're always going to get people commenting on it. And probably happily calling you shit all the time. Whereas it is a hard art and a different craft where it does take years and years and years to master. So yeah, being 21, it's probably a weird mix because you're quite impatient and you want it to happen really fast, but then you also know that there's plenty of time along the way for it to happen, and you've just got to grind now and hopefully the rewards come later on.
Awesome. Todd Murphy, thanks so much for joining us, mate. You have done so at very short notice. We're excited to see you get a game in Sri Lanka, and particularly to start judging you once we see you bowl. Even though you've literally made it into Australian colours, just a couple of clubbies here saying, I just think his front arm just gets a bit low at times.
Chucks
and
it.
all that.
Chucks it.
Yeah, he chucks. Was wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In all seriousness, mate, thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us. Wishing you the best in Sri Lanka, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thank you so much, boys, for having me on. Really enjoyed that, and feel free, let me know if you see anything that I can work on.
Thank you very much to close personal friend Todd Murphy. We wish him well in his sojourn in Sri Lanka. But Pez, before we get into hashtag ASKTGC, real quick, we've got to thank Manscaped. We're going to talk about Manscaped. Are you talking about your penis again? Am I talking about my penis again? Someone's talking about someone's penis.
Have you done anything with your penis in the last week or so? I feel like most weeks I'm talking about shaving my penis and my balls.
Yes, that's right.
There does come a point. Sometimes through the week, I'll reflect on that a little bit and wonder.
Yep. Sure.
Am I comfortable with that, or where do I sit with it? And I am fine. I am fine with it. Scaped again this week. Scaped again this week. Felt really good for it. Okay, it's optical inch stuff. I'm just gonna say what people are thinking and how it is. You always feel better after manscaping. I endorse the product. I've got the copy in front of me. Everybody knows that summer's coming, sun is shining, shirts are off, and your balls are smooth. Okay, so that's the vision. If you're over in the UK, US, etc., and you can sort all that out with Manscaped. Your balls can be as smooth as Floridian sand, which everybody will understand because that is some smooth sand there.
Yeah, it is.
Not like the sand up in Lee Point here. I'll give you the tip. But what you do is you go into manscaped.com, you get the Performance Package 4.0. You're going to get the big lawnmower there. It's going to do the job. You can do it in the shower. There's water around. Don't be scared. It's not like doing it with another clipper that's actually super sharp and you're going to cut some shit and you just don't want to go near it. It's actually just the perfect groove. Okay? It doesn't hurt you. It works. You're going to get some other fucking bells and whistles with it as well that I've talked about before that you're going to be like, that's nice to have. It's all presented nicely, but don't really need to go into it.
People get full value when they use the code TGC at checkout as well. 20% off, free shipping. I was just thinking, just as you were talking just then, it's like, I wish this product existed when I was playing grade cricket. It did not.
Yeah, that's so true.
It is a fucking, every time I talk about this, it's an absolute game changer. I am using it at the moment, sort of. I wouldn't say twice a week, but I'm sort of on a 3 times fortnightly cycle at the moment.
Thrice fortnight, yeah.
Thrice fortnightly at the moment. Single man out there meeting people, dogging in parks. Less of that, if I'm honest. Front dogging. But presentation is everything. Obviously, if you were going on a date and you are you're hesitant about what the future might hold for you at the end of the evening. You're sleeping easy. You're resting easy. You're not sleeping on a date, to be honest, unless it's a real stinker. But you can be confident. You can be confident.
You mean the date's a real stinker, don't you? You don't mean the person that you're with.
if they have horrendous halitosis,
it's a real stinker.
Then it's how was it real stinker?
Just on behalf of Manscaped, in a while. I'm teeing this up with you here, and it may fly, it may not. But Manscaped would be appreciative if it did. When you're using this on a thrice fortnightly basis, which I think is the classic frequency as far as I understand.
Yeah.
And presentations, everything. Do you Do you find yourself ever getting specifically complimented on your presentation after usage of Manscaped by those that you date and that you present yourself to?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
So I've
It
lost
really
the
gets the
sponsorship.
finer details of that. But I do think it's almost an expectation now. I think it is an expectation. I think you're probably going to get now.
So it's gone the other way.
I think. Now, look, I think it's one of these ones on a Sunday brunch the following day. Now, we as men don't. When we're talking about I'm talking sexual exploits. When men are talking about sexual exploits with each other, it's very top line. You're talking very top line. But my experience, my understanding is when the ladies the following day going for Sunday brunch, if you will, I know you will. They're gonna go finer point details. They're going from top to bottom. What happened? Now they're going to be talking about your dick. I'm telling you, they're going to be talking about your dick and the presentation of such. Now, you're probably going to less likely.
And the presentation therein. Sorry.
Exactly. So I think it's an expectation. I think if you're not using this product, you're a fucking fool. But that's just one man's opinion.
You get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TGC at manscaped.com. Come on, Manscaped. Fuck, we give you some value for that as well. I'd like to think it's symbiotic.
Hashtag AskTGC. Obviously, if you want hashtag AskTGC Fridays, you know where to get it. Patreon.com/grade cricketer. Hashtag AskTGC this week comes in from Anonymous.
Oh.
He says, Pez, the first team are playing away from home, with one player enjoying some downtime at third man when he spots an attractive female walking through the car park carrying cricket kit. However, his enjoyment is interrupted by a teammate fielding it mid-off, gesturing wildly to him that he needs to swap immediately. Confused, he swaps with the other fielder, who goes down to third man and starts talking to the aforementioned female, who turns out to be the teammate's girlfriend. She has driven an hour and a half to the away fixture, and upon arrival, she asks where her team's changing rooms are, before reappearing with her boyfriend's kit bag. She then tells the opposition to inform our player, and I quote, "I've seen the texts, I know what he's done, and his kit is in jeopardy."
I haven't read this.
The conversation at third man goes on for a couple of minutes, during which the girlfriend slaps him twice in the chest in full view of the entire ground, with the game having stopped as everyone stares to see what might happen next. The girlfriend then walks further back into the car park out of view, but cricket kit can be seen flying in the air as she empties his bag, threatening to run his kit over. The player eventually manages to talk her down, but proceeds to spend the next 30 overs off the field talking to her, and our team goes on to lose the game. Still unsure of the exact details of what our player did to deserve such a reaction, but entertaining nonetheless. I guess I have to shoehorn a question in here, but I can't exactly ask who is the alpha, as our player was quite clearly being cucked by his girlfriend in front of the team in opposition. So therefore my question is there anything this player could do to unbeta himself, or does he need to find a new club, or maybe quit cricket altogether? Also, before you start writing this off as wheelie bin park shit, this is the same league that Carlos Brathwaite is playing as an overseas in.
I've got mates who play in that league.
Yeah.
He's in the same team, or in the same club, I think, as Carlos.
Okay.
Well, that's sensational. I think that's a good league as well. But that's just sensational. My first thought is
public breakup.
Well, when we played, mate, I don't know about your club, I could guess, but I was in my sort of late teens, early 20s, and it was there that I became aware that at least there was, it was spoken about that there was just a litany of cheating and adultery going on in cricket.
Infidelity deluxe.
Infidelity is the better word, because some are married, some aren't, etc. And I found that quite eye-opening as well. It was just, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was necessarily normalized, but it was
probably so adult.
But it was, it's funny you say that. It was I'm not saying it was a badge of honor, but I mean, in the grade club, it was sexual, and I use this word clinically, conquest, because I know it's a problematic word, but sexual conquest was such a form of social capital at the cricket club, where I think whether you were in a relationship or not, it was just just bulk sex which would then include infidelity and stuff, was just there was just so much capital to it. And when I hear currency, exactly, and that was like, it meant you were sought after for conversations, for stories. You possibly picked in teams if you could play well enough. You're definitely out in the circuit. It definitely helped you get into teams for sure. Yeah. And so 100%. you learn, like, you're conditioned as a young person of like, okay, so if I just show myself to be quite successful when it comes to just having sex a lot, then I'm going to win favor among these people that I do spend roughly 24 hours a week with. Like Fair Work would call it a part-time job worth of time. Possibly more if I live with people as well, flatmates, all that sort of stuff. So like, of course, yeah. So I live in the cricket world. So like, when I see this, I'm like, this is like the other side of it. This is a side you don't see. It's kind of like the partner striking back, and it's kind of funny. And she goes for the thing that he prizes and needs most, his kit, and she does it in front of his teammates. So this guy's probably built an identity, a brand, like a personality brand at his cricket club, at his little cricket club in England, in Solihull, Birmingham, around sexual conquest. And she has just come and she's just pierced it in one like chaotic episode. And I kind of hand it to her, really. Like she's struck at the alpha brand that he's built. The question is, can he unbeta himself? I mean, that's his story now forever. It doesn't. He could have sex with 2,000 women. 2,000 women.
But that's how he does it. He turns himself. He commits to the bid. He turns himself into the Casanova of the club. Mm-hmm. And then he's a real heartbreaker. He's a real heartbreaker. That's the angle he needs to go for, I think, to commit to that for the rest of his life. We're talking before about Matt Parkinson just driving down the M1, just trying to get himself a Guernsey for his first Test cap. Can you imagine this fair lady has driven an hour and a half to an away game? The away game redundant. She's just driven an hour and a half with this guy's kit, his stinking fermented cricket kit in her car,
fermenting,
just fucking seething. Just playing those texts in her head over and over again, seething, chomping at the bit. She gets to the ground and she's ready to fucking explode. And that's entertainment. That's entertainment.
In front of his mates is the best bit.
Yeah.
I went overseas with a mate. Probably narrows it down too much, really. But who cares? Probably don't listen. I went overseas with a mate, and and it was a beautiful thing, really. Like so on the he's a great friend, but on the first night overseas, and I think it was his first time overseas, really looking forward to it. Had like on the first night, he got a call from his girlfriend. Well, then, informing him that she was aware of, his misdemeanors from like 6 months ago.
Right.
And she'd been aware of them for some months, but had waited to the moment of his first night in New York that he'd been looking forward to send his world into free fall, which it did. Now, this is a very long time ago. Everybody has moved on. We're talking a decade more. And I just, again, I was just like, that's a strong square up, if you will. I don't know, you will.
It's calculated.
And I'm just, and it's calculated. And like, I think if you put yourself in that position, you're open to that sort of riposte. And I think this guy's the same as well. It's just like she hasn't gone and fucked around with the kit at home and done it in private. She's just gone in front of the opposition. Like, imagine if he has to bat after that, Firstly, he's wearing his mate's kit. The kit's gone. And then there's the opposition. Wouldn't that be sensational? Because that's all, if you're in the opposition, it's all you're talking about, isn't it? That's all you. And then when he comes out to bat, it's just great.
In the beers after the game, just a hushed tone. Just like, what's going
See that bird?
What's going on with that?
Yeah. What's he? He must have been playing up.
All right. This show has gone on for a minute, but we hope you've enjoyed it. The Test cricket is back. That's fun and exciting. Australia start playing again tonight. Thank you very much to Ali Martin of The Guardian. Thank you very much to Todd Murphy over there in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for listening to this. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.